Welcome to the Baltimore Ravens Rundown, everybody, and another happy Halloween to every single one of you. On today's show, an ESPN NFL insider gives Ravens fans a very familiar face to keep an eye on when it comes to the trade deadline coming down in just 4 days. Who that face is, stick around. I'll tell you coming up in just about, 30 seconds probably. But before that, I got to give you an update on our season-long sub-battle with Steelers Talk. Right now, we are down our biggest margin yet, down 80 subscribers. If you hate the Steelers, that's a reason to subscribe. If you love the Ravens, that's a reason to subscribe. If you love free things, bang, there's a third reason. And if you need a fourth, we give you daily videos. Okay, 4 reasons right there. That should be good enough. We're down 80 subs. I need us to be on top of the Steelers by the end of the night, so subscribe to the channel. So the trade deadline is fastly approaching Tuesday, November 4th, 4 p.m. Eastern time. That's when it's going to roll along. And the Ravens have some weaknesses going into it, okay? I got 4 of them that I believe are the biggest ones. Edge rusher, defensive line, interior offensive line, and cornerback as well. They have been active so far in the month of October. October 7th, to be specific, is when they sent Odafe, a guy who not a lot of people thought was on the trade block for the Ravens, sent him to Los Angeles, got Alohi Gilman in return, and we've really seen a change in this Ravens defense since they made that move. I feel like we're able to say right now, the Baltimore Ravens will be buyers. I think a couple of weeks ago, that was up to interpretation. We couldn't really answer that question because they were sitting there, they were 1-5, and you felt like it was a good team. You felt like the season wasn't over, but they were also 1 loss away from pretty much being out of it. Well, now they're only 1.5 games back in the AFC North. There are still glaring holes in the roster. They've got an elite quarterback who's back healthy, and after 2 wins in a row, the first time getting back-to-back wins this season, they are trending in the right direction. So who's the name to keep an eye on? Well, you've seen him before. Hopefully you'll see him again. That is Calais Campbell, because this ESPN insider named him as a trade target, as a person to watch for the Baltimore Ravens add over the next couple of days. Here's a little bit more from Seth Walder. Cardinals defensive tackle Calais Campbell. We'll just keep his reunion tour going, bringing him back to the Ravens in hopes of reinforcing a defensive line that is without Nnamdi Madubuike. At age 39, Campbell is still producing. His 15.4% pass rush win rate ranks 3rd at defensive tackle, and his run-stop win rate would rank in the top 5 among interior defenders if he qualified. Campbell would be a short-term solution and wouldn't require an overinvestment in draft capital or contract. That limits the downside in case the Ravens can't recover this season. And I would absolutely love this, and I think you should feel the same way as well. I will never forget this offseason. It was a Tuesday, so we were going live, as we normally did at that time, on Tuesday evening. And all I was going to talk about was adding Calais Campbell in free agency, and then about 10 minutes before we went live, he signed with the Arizona Cardinals. I felt like they should have signed him then. I felt like they should have added him then. They didn't. He's been dominant this year, and now they've got a chance to do it again. And don't mess up this time, okay? Because he is still balling at the age of 39. And he has been for the last 4 seasons. He has been basically, let's be real, his entire career. This year with Arizona, 19 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, a pass breakup as well. But if you just look at his last 2 years where he's played full seasons, over 50 tackles in each, double-digit tackles for loss in each, and at least 5 sacks. Hell, his worst season in his last 4 years was with Baltimore, and he still was phenomenal in the 14 games that he played. 39 years old in 2025. And he's still putting up an overall PFF grade of 78.3. He's putting up a pass rush grade at 68.0 from the interior. He's almost 40, and his run defense grade is a 75.7. He's got 12 stops on the year, 17 pressures. He still can take control of games. He still makes plays every single Sunday, even though he's about to be able to qualify for AARP. So yeah, Calais Campbell would be a cheap option. He'd be a safe option. He would not cost you much in contract. He would not cost you much in draft capital. There's just not a lot of downsides to adding Calais Campbell. Make the call for me. Should the Ravens trade for Calais? You let me know in the comment section down below by giving me a yes or a no. Weigh in with your answer and let me know what you think down below in our comment section. So keep an eye on Arizona this Monday. They're on the road in AT&T Stadium playing the Dallas Cowboys, and if they lose that game, they fall to 2-6. If Dallas wins, I would keep an eye out on Arizona to be sellers because they play in a really good division in the NFC West, which is going to see a ton of people competing for the top spot as it usually does. You have the Rams to worry about. You got the Seahawks that are good. The 49ers, they are easily the worst team in that division. Arizona knows that Campbell isn't part of its solution in the future. He's too old to be. They know he's not going to be there in 3 years from now, no matter how good he plays. They know that for a fact. And who knows? They could be ready to shake some things up in the head coaching ranks as well if they continue to lose at the rate that they are. 2-6, dead last, really not much hope to compete at all for a playoff spot this season if they lose to Dallas on Monday Night Football. Travis Jones needs a record next to him. He just does, man. He's such a good football player. He makes plays every single Sunday, every single Thursday, every single Monday. No matter what day the Baltimore Ravens are playing on, he's a guy that's able to wreck a game. These edge rushers, right, they need records next to them as well. Because I know the edge rush position in Baltimore this season isn't its best. You got Kyle Van Noy, who's playing pretty good football, but he's old. Mike Jones, he's a rookie. He's trending in the right direction. David Ajabo, he's not very good at football. Carl Lawson was signed off the street just 4 days ago. There's a lot of question marks in that group. Well, those questions can get answered if you have a great interior defensive lineman that these offensive lines have to worry about. Well, let's talk about Mike Green. Because Mike Green, in my opinion, has been improving a ton. Since the Odafe Oweh trade, which is funny enough when this Ravens defense really started playing good football, Mike Green, you've only seen improvement. Against the Rams, 3 tackles, not a single sack, not a single quarterback pressure. But again, against the Bears, he got a sack, 2 quarterback pressures. Against the Dolphins, he got half a sack, a quarterback pressure as well. And those aren't unbelievable, jaw-dropping, game-stopping numbers right there. That's not going to win him Defensive Rookie of the Year, but we're seeing progress. We're seeing improvement. And I think if you just watch the games, right, don't even look at the statistics, I think just to the viewer's eye, you could see that Mike Green's getting better every single day. You want the Ravens to trade for Calais Campbell? If you do, hit that thumbs up button and like today's video. Not only is he going to make the interior defensive lineman better, he's going to make the edge rushers better. He's going to make everyone better. Coming up on the show, other top trade targets to keep your eye out on just as we eke closer and closer to that Tuesday, November 4th deadline. But something that you guys need to get closer and closer to is our sponsor of today's show, our great friends over at Prize Picks. They're the reason that you're watching today's episode. The hard-hitting football action is even better with Prize Picks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Prize Picks is the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. Want to pick more on Lamar Jackson pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns? Now you can pick all of them in the same lineup only on Prize Picks. Follow other Prize Picks players directly on the app and copy their lineups in one click. On Prize Picks, how you play is up to you. If you want flexibility, choose a flex play where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. I love the flex play because the flex play did me some good on Thursday night because I missed on the Derrick Henry one. I got more on 3.5 yards on his first rush. He unfortunately got less than that. But Zay Flowers, his longest reception was more than 24.5 yards. Devon Achane, his longest reception was more than 14.5 yards. So if you flex play that, even though one of your picks misses, you still win money. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Link to this promo is in the comment section and description of today's video. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Jaelan Phillips, he is up next as a trade target, and this is a guy I've talked about a ton. I think I've talked about him once every 4 days for the past 2 weeks on this channel, and there is a reason. He's putting up good numbers. 25 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 3 sacks on a really bad defensive line. That's a really impressive stat line, and I think if he comes here to Baltimore, he's going to be able to stand out in a big way. The trade costs for Jaelan Phillips, it costs you around a 4th-round pick. I don't think it'd be higher than that, but I think he's a guy that could come in here and day one make a big impact. Day one, you could start seeing a little bit of change in this defensive line, in this defense in general, and they're already on a trajectory of change. They're already on a really, really good streak right now. Jaelan Phillips would just add to that. Alontae Taylor is another guy that we've talked about. We know the New Orleans Saints are in very serious trade talks with Alontae Taylor, that people think he is on the trade block, and he 100% is going to get dealt. 36 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 4 pass breakups, and 0 interceptions for him so far through 8 games. But he also plays for not only one of the worst defenses in the league, but just one of the worst teams in the league, in the New Orleans Saints. I think it would probably cost you around a 5th-round pick to get Alontae Taylor because he's young. You would have him for a very, very long time, and I think that would benefit Baltimore a lot because they don't have a lot of young options and young answers in the cornerback room outside of Nate Wiggins. Because Marlon Humphrey, although he played great on Thursday night against Miami, he's only getting older by the day. And TJ Tampa's not really turning in what you want him to. Chidobe Awuzie is on a 1-year deal, and so you could get a little bit younger at that position. Alontae Taylor would help you do that. You got Sebastian Joseph-Day as well. If you don't go Calais Campbell, but you want to still add on the interior of the defensive line, Sebastian Joseph-Day is a good guy to look at. 25 tackles, 4 for loss, a sack, 0 QB hits. And we also know with 100% certainty that the Titans are going to be sellers of pretty much everybody except Jeffrey Simmons and Cam Ward. It costs you probably a 5th-rounder, maybe a 6th-rounder for Sebastian Joseph-Day. I also forgot to add with Jaelan Phillips, they just fired Chris Greer, meaning that they will be sellers. They're going to sell a lot and just kind of get a whole reset with a new general manager. Okay, back to Joseph-Day. He's not a sexy name. Not at all. Not a name that's going to make headlines, but he is a name that would give you awesome depth at that position, give you a lot of good reps, and he'd help open up some other people on that defensive line. Speaking of defensive line, let's talk about Kayvon Thibodeaux for our last trade target. I really don't know what's going to happen with Thibodeaux at the deadline, okay? A lot of people seem to think he's not going to move. A lot of people seem to think the Giants are going to move him. Regardless, he's worthy to be looked at. 21 tackles on the season, 5 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks, 8 quarterback hits. He easily is going to be the most expensive of all these options. It will cost you probably around a 2nd-round pick to get Kayvon Thibodeaux in Baltimore. But you have to ask yourself, is that worth it? I don't know if it is when you also have Jaelan Phillips and Bradley Chubb, 2 guys who would cost less and have more production than Kayvon Thibodeaux. They're not as young. Their ceilings aren't as high with the pure talent perspective that Kayvon Thibodeaux would bring. Name someone the Ravens should trade for down below in the comment section. Be honest with me who you think it should be. Let me know right now. Let's get into it for today's show. Make sure you guys get me followed on social media, Twitter, Instagram. I'm on both platforms. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, youtube.com/RavensTV. That's where you find us every single